bracket is out. The Cowboys, Sooners, and Golden Eagles are in. And along with Bill Haisten, this is Guerin Emig of the Tulsa World here to have a little fun with the madness before it begins. Bill, I suppose the three teams got what we figured. Well, Oklahoma and ORU, certainly. You knew ORU was going to be down toward the bottom of the draw. We thought the Sooners had played themselves into a dangerous situation, 8 or 9, because of the late season fade. Right. If there is controversy, it's in that the Cowboys are underseeded at 4. Let's start there. Do you buy into that controversy, or is much too much being made over their supposed underseed there?
If you're looking at the big picture, if you're just looking at the last 3 weeks, then I would be of the mind that they are on the wrong line. But then you have to include the entire body of work. Mm-hmm. Remember, they got swept by TCU, and so they didn't have. They had enough of the right kind of losses, I guess, to knock them down to that. So, I think they had a great season. They had a great weekend in Kansas City, mm-hmm. And I think when I saw them on the 4 line, it's really exactly what I expected, and I got no issue with it.
Some have pounced on them beating West Virginia twice, and West Virginia being a 3. And again, we're splitting hairs. Well, you are and you aren't. It's just one. It's one line, and yet the problem with the 4 is you get the number 1 seed around earlier.
Yes.
And to me, the thing that I think is a potential problem here, and not to say OSU is going to lose to Liberty, but if you watch Jay Billis break it down on ESPN, he kept comparing Liberty to Virginia. No one likes playing. They don't have Virginia's players, Bill, but they have that style. No one's going to want, and I don't think that the Cowboys are going to appreciate playing against such a deliberate pace. No way. So they got a trickier first round game, I think, by being a 4. Everything else, even if you get Illinois, the number 1 seed, around earlier, if they get that far, I think everything else comes out in the wash.
Well, I remember seeing Liberty play maybe 6 or 8 minutes a couple of weeks ago, mm-hmm. and took nothing away from that game, nothing, except to kind of do a little research on Liberty football. Actually, it's what it compelled me to do. But I did see what you're referring to on pace of play. They are the most slow-paced, deliberate team statistically in the country. Mm-hmm. The most. They have fewer possessions per game than any team in the country. So yeah, that'll be a style of play that OSU's not accustomed to defending against. You got to be super patient, and you got to stay out of foul trouble, mm-hmm. and just capitalize on when you've got transition opportunities, and execute your own stuff, and just defend the heck out of the other end.
Yeah,
got to be patient.
Yeah. I think, again, they'll have better players, and that usually means something this time of year. Again, this isn't Virginia's talent. It's just for Virginia's style.
Right, but they're 23 and I'm talking about Liberty. They're 23-5. They got a 12-game win streak. I mean, there's a lot to be said for believing. Mm-hmm. Obviously, they're of the belief that they could probably win this game.
Yeah, if the Cowboys manage, and again, we're expecting them to do that, even if it's a little difficult. I like where they are in round 2, because I think Tennessee will play at whatever pace the Pokes want. Yep. The Vols are sort of hit and miss. They look like world beaters when they destroyed Kansas back. I think that was January. Was that late January? I think when KU went to Knoxville and just got blitzed. Yep. That team's a problem, but I don't know if that team's going to show up and play. I kind of like OSU if that becomes the second matchup, and then it gets really delicious, right? Because you've got Brad Underwood potentially.
That's it's so crazy. That's what I wrote about today, is about Mike Boynton's contract situation, because he does have 3 years left on his deal. But Guerin, even if you disregard the pandemic pay cuts that everybody had to take,
right?
I mean, Mike Boynton was by over $500,000 the lowest paid guy in the Big 12, and so you think back 4 years ago, OSU gets Brad Underwood at $1 million a year, $1 million a year, and of course he just wanted to get his foot in the door of the Big 12. And to have a job like Oklahoma State, and but by really about the middle of February that year, they were already talking about the next contract, or about
Mhm.
redoing him. But I don't believe that OSU got nearly to the money level that satisfied him. He has, as it turned out, top secret dialogue with Illinois, and ends up at Illinois the day after they played in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, that's right.
Resigned. Stunning. So now you've got Mike Boynton, who I don't think there a lot of Power 5 jobs are going to open this year, but there'll be a few, because there always are. And you don't know who might resign, or who might get a DUI in the off season, or you don't know what might happen.
Right.
I'm just saying he's going to be on the shortest of all lists now as guys that people look at.
Mhm.
And then they're going to see what he makes as we speak, which is about 1.8 million, which is, like I said, dead last in the Big 12 by a bunch. When the average in the Big 12 is 3.4 million. That's the question, Guerin. Do you think OSU can go to 3.4 million on a basketball coach? I mean, I think it would really stress OSU, but what, you want to start over with a different coach?
Yeah.
No, you're happy with the guy you got.
My question would be, what's South Carolina paying Frank Martin? That would be my counter. And we'll talk a lot more about this as the Cowboys move through the tournament. And that I assume the topic of Boynton's future will only heat as the Cowboys keep playing, right? But I think the concern for a lot of OSU fans is if South Carolina drums Martin and goes after one of the, Boynton having played there, I honestly don't know what they're paying Frank Martin, but that's something that I bet Chad Weiberg knows. So,
well, wouldn't that be something though, if Mike Boynton takes this amazing step in his career, and his alma mater were to open?
Yeah, that's right.
And you just have to wonder, because I mean, have you ever seen a young coach with no real history at a school come in and fit better than Mike Boynton?
Yeah.
With regard to what he says, what he wears on the bench, how he always likes to weave Coach Sutton and Eddie Sutton and Henry Iba into references. I mean, it's like, you couldn't have drawn up a more perfect Oklahoma State basketball coach.
Yeah.
So I think it would really make the OSU people sick if they had to, if they were to lose Mike Boynton. So we'll just see how deeply rooted that relationship has become in 4 years.
Any chance, if assuming Loyola beats Georgia Tech in the 8-9 game in that bracket, any chance that Loyola, the in-state, for the in-state thing, can test the Illini and shock the Illini before it gets to a potential Boynton Underwood showdown? No, you're shaking. No.
You've seen Illinois play?
No. I saw them play today.
Yeah. Well, no, they're for real. They are. Yeah. You talk about a team that wasn't thought about in those terms 7 or 8 weeks ago, and now it's undeniable. It's like they're not. I don't even think they're that hot. They're just that good.
Yeah, right.
I think Michigan has been exposed a little bit for having been just really hot for a while, and then here they get knocked out a couple of times. I'm still on Baylor's. I still believe in Baylor though.
Yeah.
In spite of a couple of, they had that 3-week break, but they got beat in Kansas City, and then they got beat by KU. But I'm still a big believer in Baylor.
So am I.
So, no, and I looked this up, OU plays Missouri in an old Big 12 game. And Missouri's resume is kind of like OU's, a lot like OU's really, because Missouri beat Illinois, Alabama, Tennessee, Arkansas, and Florida, Guerin. Holy cow. I mean, so their run through really good teams, they're inconsistent, but their run through really good teams looks like OU's run in January against top 10 teams. So I think you got a really true, you try to get as even a matchup as you can in an 8-9, and this looks like these guys are like mirror images of each other in some regards. I don't know their personnel that well.
Well, OU did beat Missouri and Kansas City last year, and it's essentially the same Mizzou team. I think that the Sooners beat by 11. Austin Reeves was terrific. He's going to have to be terrific if OU is going to win the game this week. The thing that OU fans are going to see when they start scouting the Tigers is Jeremiah Tillman, who's a 6'10", 250-pound bruiser who can score 12, 13 points a game. That's not what OU needs to, in terms of matchups.
Right.
That's
Right.
not ideal for Oklahoma. So what the Sooners have to do is counter someone like Tillman and have someone like Brady Manick go out and hit some shots, stretch Tillman out, open up the middle, and sort of lessen that Missouri advantage physically.
We don't know the times yet as we're talking now. We don't know game times yet, do we?
I haven't seen that. No.
Either. I would expect ORU, Ohio State, as a 15 seed. I think. Well, Paul Mills had that nailed yesterday. He just said we're 15, which I figured they were 15. But he said we're 15 and we've got Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
The man knew what he was talking about. But the thing about ORU, anybody that didn't get to see either the semifinal or the final of the Summit League tournament, that was dramatic, great basketball theater. That was fun to watch. And ORU is a really beautifully coached team offensively. And they've got, the perfect combination the perfect mid-major combination of, a stud on the perimeter in Naismith, and then a all-conference big man in Kevin O'Banner. I don't think they can beat Ohio State, but they shoot it so well, Guerin, that I could see going to the second media timeout in the second half, and it's a 5-point game.
Yeah.
But ultimately, man, you talking about Ohio State athletes and size. I just think they're going to be able to punish ORU in the paint all night.
Well, it's going to, as it always, or as it often does for any low seed, it's going to come down to, you said the word shots. If those guys are hitting and you give yourself a reason to really feel good about your chances, I think that could be interesting. Ohio State is not. If you're looking at who would you rather play if you are Ohio State or like Houston? Houston just won today's American tournament by 40. And they will. I don't think Kelvin Sampson in a 2-15 matchup against Oral Roberts would let Amos and go off like they just wouldn't let that happen. I kind of like at least the chance that Ohio State's going to come out and just not brutalize them defensively and let the Eagles play free, and then it's just a matter of or you shoot 65% and make about 23s.
How wouldn't it be cool to see? To me, this is me talking, but I think it'd be cool to see Kelvin win a national championship. I would love to see his post game if he were to ever. Would you? You covered.
Yeah. Yeah.
He would be a mess in the post game.
They're the two in Michigan's region. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So again, if they play like they did today and can play, and Quentin Grimes, averages 18 to 20, because they're going to defend. It's just a matter of are they going to make enough? Make like everyone else, make enough shots. But yeah, no, I think a lot of people be rooting for Kelvin. As usual, there's a lot of cool subplots here. How about Rick Pitino getting in when Louisville doesn't?
Let me backtrack 1 second. Houston's a 2 in OSU and Illinois region.
Oh, Houston's in Illinois region.
Yeah. No, Michigan, Alabama's the 2.
Okay.
Michigan.
All right.
Sorry. Rick Pitino getting back to the tournament. I saw him on. He did a little Sports Center hit a minute ago, or a little college basketball live segment on ESPN a minute ago, and he just talked about he said everything you would expect him to say, and he said he's packing 8 suits for the trip to Indy. So, or maybe they're already there. I don't know. But Paul Mills. I talked to Paul yesterday from Indy, and he was describing what the bubble is like in Indianapolis, and it's pretty restrictive, I got to say.
I would hope.
Oh, well, it really is. Go to your floor. ORU has an entire floor in that hotel. They can't leave the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's they have a practice appointment but if they have downtime, they are confined to their quarters. They can't leave the rooms.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you think though college kids would maybe comply pretty consistently on this? I can't fathom kids jeopardizing their team's ability to just stay there by doing something stupid. I just don't.
Yeah, well, let's hope that everyone gets through. Hey, real quick before we get out of here, on the other half of the sub bracket, the one with ORU and Ohio State in the 215, I'm kind of fascinated by you got Arkansas and Colgate 314.
Right. Colgate's kind of a trip.
People say that game could finish 110 to 108.
Right.
Well, Colgate does not mess around in terms of pace, and then on the other side at 611, you've got Texas Tech and Utah State. I know Tech went out in the Big 12 to Texas. I'm still you mentioned you're a believer in Baylor. I still think that Tech can make a run. I think that they've still got the DNA to make a. And I'm not just talking about one or two games. I'm talking about a really interesting multi day stay in Indy for the Red Raiders.
Right, because it's always there's a real consistency with this, where a middle of the pack Big 12 team, or for that matter, a really good middle of the pack team from most of the Power Fives, not the Pac-12. Pac-12's garbage, but you like to see how they look outside of their conference, and when you know what I mean, when there's not that familiarity, and so yeah, I think there's I don't know. I would even say if I were pressed to pick a team most likely to succeed on the bracket, Guerin, out of the Big 12 after Baylor, it probably would be Chris Beard. Think about it. I mean, teams that haven't had to defend Matt McClung.
Yeah.
He's an interesting challenge. Anyway, so yeah, it wouldn't shock me a bit to see Texas Tech and Baylor make the deepest runs out of this league. Yep. Yeah.
We'll see. Should be a lot of fun. We'll follow the Cowboys, Sooners, and Golden Eagles, especially. Again, you've already written about Paul and what a remarkable week that the Golden Eagles just had. I was in Kansas City with OSU and OU. You wrote a lot about the Cowboys the last few days. We'll circle back to Oklahoma this week before their game against Missouri and see if we can't figure the Sooners out and match in their matchup with our old friends from Columbia. So until we meet again, Bill, enjoy the basketball.
Listen, I'm just thankful we have the basketball.
No doubt.
I can't remember being as connected and as excited to a selection show unveil as I was tonight.
Yeah.
I was pretty happy about it.
No doubt. We are all winning already as we at least anticipate the first day of a tournament we missed badly last year. Thanks, Bill. Good seeing you.
See you, Guerin.